Some of you might have already seen this article floating around by Channel News Asia, where unpaid credit card balance is at its all-time high. This is the highest we've seen in a decade so far. I was actually quite surprised, like us as one of the richest country in the world can somehow continue to hit the highest amount of credit card debt. So today I want to break down how credit cards actually ruin your life, what traps to avoid and how to use them in your advantage instead of letting them use you. And if you're currently in debt, I'll also share with you maybe a couple of strategies to help you get out of it. So without further ado, let's dive into today's video. We live in an age where credit card has never been easier to get. Everything is effortless and the barrier to entry is pretty much non-existent. The yearly salary requirement for an entry-level credit card is about $30,000. Considering the fact that most graduates are earning about $40,000 to $50,000, that simply means that most people entering the workforce will have access to credit, whether they are ready for it or not. Credit cards can either be one of the most useful or one of the most dangerous financial tools depending on how you use them. And that's scary because of how many people end up on the wrong side. So actually, why are credit cards so damn scary? Every time when you scroll through social media, it's a non-stop of ads for you to shop and buy, and credit cards makes it way easier. You tap or key in your details and you are done. You don't really feel the money leaving your account right away. Even when you check your bank statement immediately, it's not reflected. Until maybe the end of the month when you hit with that massive bill. I've actually done an experiment where I've asked people around me to guess how much their credit card statement would be at the end of the month, and most people underguess their actual bill, like way under, because when you don't track your expenses, you often don't even remember what you spent on. We don't handle cash anymore. Everything is digital, and tapping or scanning has just become part of our lives. Banks offers rewards like cashbacks and miles to make spending a little bit more convenient and attractive to you. Used correctly, these can genuinely help you have some perks on your day-to-day spending as a form of value back. But if you're not careful, you might end up spending more than what you initially intend to. Miles and cashback are tools. They're meant to encourage card usage, and there's nothing wrong with that. The problem comes when we change our behavior because of that. Getting 2 to 5% cashback while unintentionally increasing our spending by 30 to 50% is where it stops working in our favor. So the key is actually to treat rewards as a bonus on money that you were already going to spend, not a reason to spend more. Let me give you a real example. You see a restaurant or a cafe that you normally wouldn't go because it's $100 for dinner. But then you think, oh, because I'll get 5% cashback on my card, on top of that, if I use a certain credit card, I get a free side dish. That's 5% back plus maybe more food. So you go to the restaurant, you spend $100 to earn that $5. You just rationalize spending money you weren't going to spend in the first place for a 5% reward. Now multiply that by multiple decisions a month and suddenly your monthly spending has jumped by another $2,000 to $3,000. I understand many financial YouTubers, including myself sometimes, share with you bonuses for signing up for credit cards, credit card optimization, travel rewards, cashback strategies, etc. It's exciting content, but the thing with these rewards and strategies is that it only works in your favor if you're spending money that you would have otherwise spent. So what actually happens when you get into debt? So when uncontrolled spending meets easy access to credit, you get 9 billion in unpaid debt and about 13% jump in people seeking financial counseling. People in their 30s and 40s feeling trapped and anxious on a daily basis. Most people don't get into debt by spending on one big ticket item. It's through multiple months of spending where they realize how hard is it to get out of it. Most credit card in Singapore lets you pay off a minimum of about 2 to 3% of your balance. So if you owe $3,000 to the bank, your minimum payment might be only $75 to $90. And when you see that, you think, oh, actually it's okay, quite manageable, right? I can do a $75 payment on this month. Out of that $75, about $62 going to the interest. If you're keeping this up, paying just the minimum every single month, you're looking at about 16 years to clear this. And in this time, you pay the bank over $6,500 in interest alone. So you borrowed $3,000 and you give them back $9,500. That's more than triple of what you originally spent. Banks make their billions from people who think minimum payments are fine, people who are paying month after month, mostly just covering interest, never actually getting out of this cycle. So I'll share with you a personal dumb story of mine. This is actually a personal experience where I forgot to pay my credit card bill in full. As you can see, my total outstanding was $942. The interest was about 28.5% and the interest is calculated daily. That means today's interest gets added to your balance and tomorrow's interest is calculated on that new, slightly higher amount. After 1 month, I would rack up about $22.50 in interest. So imagine paying $50 of the minimum sum, only half of it goes to paying down the principal, the other half is purely going to interest payments. If you paid the minimum sum of $50 a month, it would take me 25 months to pay off. After 6 months of non-payment, the amount I've owed the bank is actually doubled. So you can actually imagine how much this interest can actually snowball and affect somebody who is unable to pay off their debt. So actually, how do you get out of that? First thing first is honestly just stop spending on your card. Lock the card in your banking app and just purely stop. Now there are two most effective ways that I've researched on how to pay your debt. Method one is actually called the avalanche method. So the avalanche method prioritizes debt by interest rates, targeting the most expensive debt first, regardless of the balance size. By eliminating high interest debt quickly, you reduce the total amount of compounding interest accumulating each month. The avalanche method can save you more in interest compared to making minimum payments or using the snowball approach, which is method 2, focuses on balance size rather than interest rates, targeting your smallest debt first to create quick wins and psychological momentum. Despite being less mathematically efficient, many people find this approach more sustainable because early victories provide motivation to continue on. Okay, so we've actually talked about the ways credit card can actually destroy you. Now let me show you how to actually use them properly, because like what I've said so far, they're tools and tools can actually work for you if you know what you're doing. If you've got $500 in your bank account, you can spend $500 on your credit card. You're only charging purchases you can afford to pay with the money that you already have. And what you're going to do is pay everything off at the end of the month without owing a single cent to the bank. When you do this, two things happen. One is you avoid all interest charges, the bank makes nothing off of you. And two, you build a strong credit score, and that credit score is going to help you when you're making your first home purchase or any form of loans with the bank. That is also how I went from an EE credit score back when I started working to an AA credit score in just about 3 years time. Now here's something practical that not a lot of people think about. Automate everything. Set up your gyro for your credit card payments. Make sure your full statement balance gets paid off automatically every single month. Next thing, don't overcomplicate. I see people with 10 different credit cards trying to optimize every single purchase for maximum rewards. And look, if you're someone who has the time and the mental bandwidth to actually track all of this, great. But for most people, it's just too much. So stick to 1 or 2 cards. I know it's not the most optimal, but it's way more optimal to actually manage them financially. And the last thing I cannot stress enough is do not inflate your spending just to get rewards. The rewards are a bonus on money that you're already going to spend. They're not going to be a reason for you to spend more. Credit cards can work for you, but only if you are disciplined. Remember that you're in control and not the card. That's all I have for today's video actually. I hope today's video has been helpful for you to understand a little bit on credit cards. If you found this video useful, give it a like, subscribe, and follow along on this journey. Drop your questions down in the comments below. If you have anything, I'll try my best to help you based on what I've learned so far as well. Have an amazing week ahead, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye bye.